part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Look up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane,
This is Jason J. Lewis, the voice of Superman on Justice League Action. This is Mark Wade, writer of Superman Birthright, and you're listening to the Krypton Report.
Welcome to the Krypton Report. This is a special episode. So we're sitting outside here, enjoying the outside.
So pretty.
Testing this new mic with my wife, testing the settings here, and what better way to do it than a special podcast. So Junia and I are sitting out here. I don't know if you listen. Smoking my hemp cigarette because herbal cigarettes are cool and they're a good stress reducer, but also because we are going to start a special podcast series. That's right. We are going to look back at live-action adaptations of John Constantine. It's going to be on our Patreon, but this episode's coming at you free as an introductory episode. It's $1 a month to join our Patreon, and we put out at least 2 to 5 episodes of different things each month. It's a pretty great deal, and it's fun, and maybe even more as things go on, as we're trying to look at expanding some of our discussion points. But what we're looking at here is, so this episode is going to be kind of, like I said, the introduction and the smaller episode, and then we'll kind of weave it out. But in September, I just purchased the Matt Ryan, John Constantine series on Blu-ray. So Junia and I are going to rewatch that in September. And then in October, as our movie commentary, we're going to watch the Keanu Reeves film and commentate on that.
Constantine. John Constantine.
That's why we're smoking, because you can't talk Constantine and not be smoking something. So, Junia,
yes.
What is your history with the character?
I'll be honest with you, not a whole lot. I didn't know a whole lot about Constantine. I didn't really realize that he was a comic book character, and I was somewhat educated on comics, before you, mainly from my uncle growing up and whatnot, but Constantine was one of the ones I didn't realize was a comic book character, but I freaking fell in love when I was younger with the Keanu Reeves, John Constantine. And I don't know, it was like a weird kind of love because I knew that the movie wasn't perfect, but I didn't give a crap because I loved the character so much. Yeah, so I always wanted to see more of him, and then when Matt Ryan kind of came out and started doing his thing more, I was just like, I don't know, like instant relief because Matt Ryan is just freaking awesome. He's like how do I want to say that? He's like Iron Man. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man. Like, you can't get anybody else to do Iron Man the way that Robert Downey Jr., I can't talk, has done Iron Man. Matt Ryan will always, to me, be like the quintessential Constantine. And maybe like one day I would love to see like Taron Egerton do Constantine.
We're going to touch on that a little bit because I've listened to it, but I'm going to find the scene with him and have you listen to, because he did Constantine for the Sandman audio drama. So we will touch on that in an episode.
You did mention that to me before, but he's kind of like a perfect, like, up and coming.
Right. Because I feel like if I was two people, I think would make a great John Constantine, but I feel like they've done the character similar in other things, is Colin Farrell and Carl Urban. But
okay.
I feel like Carl Urban's Billy Butcher has too much of a Constantine type.
Yes.
That it wouldn't feel, and then, so I think someone like Taron, who hasn't portrayed that type of a character on film yet, would be great.
Not completely. Like, his Eggsy has some hints of Constantine in there. I'll give him that. Like, but I don't know. I'm just saying, like, as Taron Egerton gets a little bit older, because I feel like
he is young.
The other person that I always thought would be like a cool John Constantine was Charlie Hunnam.
Yeah.
Hunnam, how do you say?
Everybody wants him. I forget he is English.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants him to come be Green Arrow, but if he wants to be Constantine, that's awesome.
He would be fantastic, honestly.
I feel like Matt Ryan does it so great because, and we'll touch on this. We'll probably do a whole episode of variation because this podcast is going to be geared towards live action. I've read my history with the character is I didn't realize that Constantine the film was based on the Hellblazer comics, and they changed the name to make it more about the character because they thought Hellblazer at the time, like we had Hellboy and Hellraiser films, they thought Hellblazer might be mixed in, so they named the film Constantine.
Which was fantastic.
And I've read some, but I need to go back and read the original books. So we'll pop in and out with comic book knowledge here and there, but this one, like I said, is going to be focused more on live action or other media because as we're talking, I think then one of our next episodes we'll do is we'll look at and just discuss because Matt Ryan has played Constantine not only in live action, he did it in 2 animated films, or 3 animated films. If you count the short that we just watched, The House of Mysteries. Yeah. Actually before. So it'd be The House of Mysteries, the 2 Justice League Darks, and then the City of Demons. And then he just appeared in Harley Quinn, the series.
Oh, he did, yes.
So he has played it in multiple animation. And
he has a great voice for it. He really does.
We're gonna watch.
He's also a super nice human being.
Yes, we were gonna touch on that. We did.
Sorry.
We met him at a comic convention.
Yes. And he was like super sweet to our son, which was awesome.
You know, I've watched all of Legends except the last season, and we'll summarize his performances in there because I feel like they had to water him down a little bit being on the CW. But I'm really excited to go back and look at his series proper. And I don't even know if I've seen it all, to be honest with you. I don't think it aired all the episodes before it was cut off. So yeah. So with this episode, that's kind of our introductory. We just finished, kind of switching gears, we finished watching Sandman.
Loved it. I did.
And I really enjoyed it. And it is weird because I did read a little bit of Sandman, but so much of the DC of it has been stripped out. And so what we're going to touch on is the fact that they gender swapped John Constantine
to
Joanna Constantine.
Joanna Constantine. And Constantine.
And it was the British version. And that's, we joked later, like, so Keanu Reeves is Constantine and everyone else is Constantine. Yeah. Because I guess Constantine technically is the British pronunciation, was the original character's name. But it became so much Constantine because of us Americans.
Yep.
But she was Joanna Constantine, which is based on a character. And that's what I was trying to tell Junia when we were watching. I was like, well, maybe they just gender swapped in the sense of, in the comics there was Lady Joanna, who was a descendant or an ancestor of John's.
Mm-hmm.
That the Sandman, interacted with.
Yep.
So as the series for Sandman went on, we met Lady Joanna, and it was the same actress playing the part. So they didn't flip it, so they did just gender swap John for Joanna. And it is obvious because she does play the same role, and they do mention she's struggling with the Astrid story. So that cemented that the Joanna
is John.
Because that's going to be a big thing when we start the Matt Ryan series, is the the Astrid story. And I believe, and I'm going to, as we watch this, we talk that backdooring the Constantine series is part of a quote-unquote Arrowverse.
We're going to press pause and hear a few words from our other podcasts on Press Play.
Because they did pick up certain threads in the Arrowverse, quote-unquote, with John. And, yeah. So let's jump back and talk Joanna. Junia, when the character showed up, what did you think? When they said Constantine, what were your thoughts?
If you are like Tyler and James and can't get enough super talk, check out these other podcasts.
A female
Digging for Kryptonite, Supergirl Radio,
I just really have
The Last Sons
the
of Krypton,
masculine version, or the
Superboy Legacy
because,
podcast.
She could still be masculine but be a woman, and that's
All-Star
totally cool,
Superfans.
I don't know.
Superman, the animated podcast.
It was a little jarring.
The Aspiring
at first,
Kryptonians.
And honestly, I feel like that she
always
did
hold on
the
to Smallville.
Well,
Caped
like
Wonder.
I liked the actress's portrayal
The
of
Geek
the
of
character.
Steel.
I saw it.
Truth, Justice, and Hope.
But at the same time, it was like,
Dan Jurgens, and if you want to have a good time, keep listening
just not
to
what
the
I
Krypton
expected.
Report.
We'll just say that.
Yeah, and she wasn't bad.
No.
I didn't mind her at all. I think I would like to see her do it more, but she came off as a little soft.
Yeah.
I like her. She's only in one episode, and looking at the Sandman, that was kind of my thing. The series is more of an anthology in a way than I thought it was going to be. If that makes sense.
What do you mean by anthology for those of us that need clarification on that?
Well, it seemed like the series, like there's a through line, but each episode is like something going on in how the Sandman is involved.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the first 3 episodes are him.
Yep.
His story.
And then you have other people.
And then you have like a majority of other people's stories that he just kind of pops into.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying not to jump ahead, so I have comments and stuff, but I know we're kind of going in order here.
And I thought that Constantine would be a bigger deal, but she wasn't. And like I said, I liked her. She didn't come off to me. Okay, she didn't come off to me kind of the bastard that Constantine's supposed to be.
Right. I agree with you on your statement there where you said that you thought she was going to be like a bigger deal. I was disappointed in the fact that like there wasn't any through, like at first you almost got an impression that this character was going to amount to something within this series, but there was no like real through line with Joanna Constantine, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like, I don't know, like you started revving the engine, like you were gonna get the car going, but you thought you were gonna go for like a freaking road trip or something like that. You just went around the block, and it's just underwhelming.
Yeah. So the actress's name is Jenna Coleman, and she was Clara in Doctor Who.
I like her.
I do too.
I like her.
She's been in a few other things we've seen her in. And I think my biggest thought is like what you just said. It's like if I kind of think if you were watching Arrow and you got to the episode where Oliver calls Constantine, and that's all you got was that one episode with Matt Ryan as Constantine, what would you think of him?
Right.
Because the Constantine series came and went so fast before people knew what was going on with it, and people were just watching Arrow. Because I feel like I'd like to go back and watch her episode of Sandman, just because I feel like I liked her. I want more, but I just don't know if I got a huge grasp of the character and the characterization she was bringing.
I think that is probably one of my big hang-ups about Sandman in general, is not getting a huge grasp of the majority of the characters. I feel like it left... There was a lot to still be desired. And I do desire it. Yeah, seriously. I do desire it, side note. Like, they definitely left me intrigued, and I want to continue to watch it, but... I feel like you have characters like that who are like thrown out and we never get a whole lot explained. if that makes sense.
It does make sense. It makes a lot of sense. So that's kind of where we are with this episode. We wanted to do the first episode as an introduction. Like I said, we were looking at the Joanna Constantine because there wasn't a whole lot to say about her because we got her very minimal in the series.
Yeah.
But I do like what we got. And this is going to be kind of a fun journey for Junia and I both to kind of learn about characters and learn about the show. And I don't think we'll go episode by episode of the Matt Ryan series and do this, but I think we'll definitely probably maybe do like every couple of episodes or something.
I'm going to state this really quick too.
Sure.
Like, when it comes to her sexuality, because at first, like, they talk about her being with a man and then she's with a chick or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like, to me, that makes sense.
Well, I mean, John is bisexual.
Yeah, that's true. He is. You're totally right. But, I mean, it makes sense for the characterization of Constantine in general.
Okay.
Because if you think about it, like, he is a man, or a woman in this case, that understands that there is a lot more than male-female. There's, like, a whole universe of different things, you know? Like, so her being open like that, to me is like, yeah, that makes sense, because I would see Constantine seeing people on a soul level rather than seeing people as, like, human beings. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Like, almost like he sees inside of them rather than the picture.
Yeah.
You got to think about it from, like, that big perspective. So it just is a very interesting characterization point, and I think that it really fits.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't think of it like that, but you're absolutely right. And you know, one thing was, I think it was season 4 maybe or 5. I don't know. It was one of the latter seasons of Legends of Tomorrow, focused on John having a previous male relation, and it cut back to like
male relationship.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
The way that you said relation, I was like, you meant. Okay, gotcha.
And where that was currently. So I can't remember what season it was, because I have a love-hate relationship with Legends. I felt like that show could have been a lot better and a lot more. And they just kind of made it into crap, but whatever.
They were probably trying to make it, like, catchy, like, eye-catching for people. And probably trying to gain more viewers than just your normal comic book lovers. So they were making it probably more exciting. It felt very Marvel-esque in some ways.
True. So, last thing, we'll kind of do this real quick. I was thinking about, we just watched Harley Quinn. We have one episode to watch, but
yeah,
the recent one had Matt Ryan as Constantine in it. That was funny.
Yes.
Like the way it was, like, it was a true version of the character, but also farcical at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, he got outdrank by Harley and Ivy.
Love it.
And Nora Freeze.
It was super funny.
And he got tricked into telling where Swamp Thing was.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of wish he had been around more, but he wasn't.
It was a cool, like, little cameo, if you will, of his character. I appreciated it.
I did too. No. So the last thing that we're going to touch on is the most recent DC short film was Constantine House of Mystery. Now, it's kind of, we're doing these out of order, but whatever. If you remember, they did Justice League War Apocalypse, or Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. Ended with Constantine telling the Flash, you can fix this, you have to do this. And he tells the Flash to go and run back and change the timeline. And we've theorized that when he did that, the new timeline starting with Superman Man of Tomorrow, or what's being called the Tomorrow line, happened. And we got confirmation with that in the House of Mysteries because we see the previous version of John telling the Flash to do this. And what it is John is in the House of Mysteries. And he's with Zatanna, and he's with his friends that we met. He has kids. But they keep turning into monsters and tearing him apart.
Yeah. Pretty gnarly stuff.
And John keeps trying to escape and get out of the house. And what happens is he's murdered and dies over and over these horrible, tragic deaths. And eventually he escapes and he sees himself with the Spectre. He confronts the Spectre. And what you find out is that the Spectre put John's spirit in the house like this as a blessing to spend eternity in a state of happiness with the people that he loves. But John's own mind couldn't accept that type of reward.
Because he didn't feel like he was worth it.
And he kept punishing himself.
Mm-hmm.
And that was heartbreaking. And what?
No, it's just... I'm kind of laughing because... Okay, real world stuff, like, this is literally crap that I talk about with people, like, all the time as a part of my profession, like, what I do. The fact that we are our own...
Madam Sanity.
Something like that. We are our own, destroyers of our own personal worlds, if you will. We can't accept always that we are worthy of... beautiful things in our life. So somebody like John Constantine, who is literally his own worst enemy, who hates himself and can't see beyond his perception and his self-hatred. Like, he can't love himself enough to give himself any kind of value in this. Like, so that makes complete freaking sense. It's heartbreaking, but it is his own hell that he has created. And like I said, it's interesting because we tend to do that as human beings. We all kind of create our own hell.
In it, what's sad is it ends. It's only like a 20-minute short. And I wanted more. I wanted a more story with it because it was so good and compelling.
It was very good.
But it's on HBO Max right now for anybody to check out because, it is harder to get the shorts and get into them. So if anyone wants to check it out. But
I'm just kind of laughing at myself because I'm like all doom and gloom and whatnot here. But at the same time, like, that's the character, right? Like, he's kind of like a doom and gloom kind of dude, You don't get a lot of happy endings with John Constantine. Let's just say that.
No, you do not. So, from Tyler and my lovely wife, Junia, this episode is being brought to you on the main feed. And for the rest of our discussion and deeper dive into Constantine, check out our $1 a month Patreon.
Heck yeah.
Look up in the sky. Yes, it's me, Sailor.
We just want to say, if you've enjoyed this podcast, please check out other podcasts on the Press Play Podcast Network. Remember to check out Krypton Report on all social media platforms. Go to linktree.com/Krypton Report. You find all of our information right there. $1 a month, you'll get extra special content that you don't get on the main show, like movie commentaries and whatever else comes out of our mouths. So check it out, patreon.com/Krypton Report.